is about partnership. Even in organizations, it's about partnerships. So how do you create a strong brand within an organization or without the organization? So what are your social skills? How do you start? A lot of techies, and I've worked with a lot of techies, and one of the things I tell them, get out to talk about yourself, get out for people to know who you are, get out to know other people that you can work with, because ideally for you to drive a business strategy, if you are leadership, you need everybody else. So how do you start building your social skills as a leader? And it starts from the organization. Maybe you're in associations, IT associations. How many other people are you meeting, and how are you building your personal skills? Like I said, the ability to manage other people is about emotional intelligence, being emotionally aware and knowing how your emotions affect other people. Because before people buy your brilliant ideas and strategy, they buy you. They buy how you make them feel, small things. And that's why they look soft, but they are hard. But they could be the deal breakers in terms of what vision you're driving and what are the things that you need to communicate. Then the ability of being as a leader entrepreneur. A lot of organizations are now are very competitive. So you can't stay as a leader and say I'm a techie. You must understand the business dynamics, always the trends around you, so that you're able to support the business strategy from a diverse view of your thinking. Then other things you could work on are your entrepreneurship aspect of how you drive the business conversations will be very important as a leader. So people don't see you as a techie leader, as an IT leader. They see you as a business leader. So for you to be able to translate to that, you need to understand the whole business concept of where you're working, irrespective of the business you are in. Then you start positioning yourself as a leader, and people stop seeing you just as a techie leader or a specialist, but a person who is being able to move conversations across a bigger scope. Then the ability to manage stakeholders maybe relates to how you're building your social acumen, but how do you map your stakeholders as you grow in leadership to know for each of my stakeholders what's needed? Being very intentional about prioritizing your stakeholders as you get to any leadership level. That would be helpful, because for you to move forward, you need to unlock a lot of value by the people who can buy your idea and move with it. Top of mind, those are the things that everyone would start working on, and they would start seeing that people are even looking for them across other industry because they're showing up. They have a strong personal brand. They speak about the things they know. They are thought leaders in associations, and that's how you start establishing your leadership mark within your industry and without. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I got a lot of value out of there. And so our learners also just joining, you can drop in the chat if this is making sense. Let's know you drop in the chat the things you've learned up now. Just drop a few points, each and every of you, just with the chat. While then you can breath, now I'm going to take it on the side, Veliswa. All right. And just to let you all know, I've been admiring Veliswa on LinkedIn. Like, first time I made a post on her, I went on the post when I saw her travel to Kenya and they were having a great time with Kevin. And I just made a comment. I said, I wish I join you all one day, right? I was really looking forward to this. So I thought, well, she's based in Kenya. I'm gonna meet someday in Kenya. Not later on, Kevin told me no, she's actually based in South Africa, and I was like, wow. Then when I saw her as one of the guys for the AWS events, see, I initially table out my speakers like indicating to be a speaker for the AWS community day. But when I saw you on that post as one of the speakers, immediately I reached out to them that I want to be one of the speakers, so I can be released, not just as a participant, but also as a co-speaker. So now, the question I want to ask Veliswa is this: you are driving change across Africa as a leader. What are some of those challenges that leaders face in tech? Because we're talking about developing leadership skills. And one of the reasons I've noticed most people who are coming to space, they are scared to come to such positions because the challenges with leadership, right? Everybody points a finger at the government. Everybody points a finger at those at the top, but probably one of us, we are leaders wherever we find ourselves. So what are some of those challenges that leaders should expect and how to react to these challenges. Probably maybe telling us from maybe your experience over the years as a leader in the industry. So whether whoever is thinking of getting leadership should proactively prepare, know that it's not just about having a name, your this position in the space, but you should know what is expected and how you can be able to respond to those challenges when you face them, because for sure we can't avoid the challenges, right? So let me pass it over to Veliswa to get her feedback on this. Thank you.
Okay, so to answer that, I'm going to take some of what Jane has kind of been talking about. Things like you have a vision and you communicate that vision. Just because you've communicated that vision doesn't mean that people are going to buy into your vision and they're going to walk with you. Another thing that Jane said is about, especially people in tech, we think it's still about sitting there and doing my job. And we're still not very much understanding the fact that you have to get out there and tell people who you are and build that personal brand as well. When I took on this role almost 4 years ago, so it was just after I became an AWS hero. And I was looking in the community as well, on social media and everywhere, wanting to see who else is talking about AWS, who else is a thought leader in this space. I was finding a lot of people in Europe who are doing it, lots of people in the US, not many people in Africa that are talking about the things they are doing in tech and talking about the things they're learning and helping to teach others what they know. And with this, I mean specifically tech, because I'm in a tech space. Um, I find that, especially us here, we're very big on community building, and that's good. But we're still very shy when it comes to taking that lead in being the person or a go-to person on a specific technical topic. And we're still not there yet. And if you're in a technical space, you can forget about people taking you seriously if you are not showing your technical know-how. And that is still a challenge. So when Amazon approached me for this role, I really wanted to work with the community so that I can have many more of us become this. We've seen people come down the line, but it's still not at the level that it could be at. So what I'm learning is that as a leader, you might have a vision and communicate it, or maybe you're not communicating it very clearly. You might have a vision and people might not actually buy into this vision that you have. And what do you do when that happens? Um, I don't really have an answer. What do you do when that happens? I think there is a bit of looking into how you're doing the communication of this vision of yours. Are you speaking in a way that is making connection with your audience or your team? And you just need to innovate around how you communicate that vision. And what I'm also finding to be what works is mentorship of people that you've identified as people who have the potential to go to the place that you would like to see people at. So mentorship could be another one. But I say mentorship very cautiously because what I've also realized is that I don't work a lot with communities anywhere else. I work here in Africa and I'm going to be very tough when it comes to us. What I find is that people say they want to be mentored, but they don't know what really they want out of this mentorship. Um, I find that a lot of us are still where so you reach out to someone and say, please, will you mentor me? But you don't have a strategy of what you want to get out of this. I think we're still at that stage where we want people to do things for us, and we think magically we're going to be where we're supposed to be without putting in much of an effort. And that's the part that I find sometimes very uh, demotivating as someone who has this vision of where I want to see people. Because I realize that the minute you tell people what effort they need to put into what they want to achieve, you lose them. I've had a lot of people who reach out and say, will you mentor me? And then I say, what do you want to get out of this mentorship? You never hear back from them again. Or someone who says, I want to become a community builder, an AWS community builder. And I say, you need to do A, B, and C and D in order to become one. You never see them again. So the challenge that we still have is being willing to put in that effort as well. So as someone who's being mentored, what are you bringing into this picture? And I always say, when you are a mentee, you actually are the person who's supposed to do more work than the person who's mentoring you. This is your journey. You own this. So what I've seen as challenges is you can have a vision and it might, people might never buy into this vision. But what I'm also learning as well is that you might have you might start something today and never ever see the results of that. You could move on and it could be only after generations, after a while, that what you started actually you see that come to be. And I think as a leader, just learning to have that patience, that it might take a while, might take some time, and also maybe just letting go of some of the ego that we sometimes have that makes you want to see things happen today. Just knowing that it might not ever, and you might never get recognized for something that you started 2 years ago. Someone else might come in and they continue what you started and they get all the credit for that. So it's a constant checking your ego as well, constant getting to know who you are, constant getting to know what really defines you, and constantly looking to see why you do things. What's your why? So, why are you leading? Are you leading for your own selfish, egotistical reasons, or are you leading because of what you want to see? And you might only see that it might happen 50 years from now, not even today. When I took on this role, I said to my manager, I want to see more Africa in the public space. I've definitely seen a lot more people come out, and but it's still not enough. It might be that I will move on from this role and never quite see the results that I had in my head. For example, something measurable that I had in mind was to see another woman becoming a hero out of Africa. We still don't have one. It's what end of this year I'll be in this role for 4 years. We haven't seen one, and every time I look to see who can potentially be, I don't see them. So it might be that you can start something today and never actually see it being come to life. And it's a self-realization that you need to go through today to know that that can happen. And are you at peace with that? And just work on those things. So a level of self-awareness, huge levels of that you need to have.
All right. Thank you so much, Veliswa. When you were speaking, I was just taking a look at my journey into the tech space, as well as some of the things that have worked for me this far, setting up SolaviseTech from the point of conception of trying to bring out the name of the company to the point of getting the company ready, point of influencing and giving influence as other all I was coming to the space it's sure people are not aware, but suddenly began I was doing a boot camp, right? I was this I had a strong to this. And one of the things actually drove was because
Oh, I think Doc has dropped, if I'm not wrong. So it's coming, will be coming back. So let me just add myself. Oh, sorry. I need to add spotlight. Yes,
sorry.
you're back. You're back.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
back.
back. Sorry. Yeah, there was a connection glitch here. So I was trying to give a picture of how the vision was born. What are some of the things that actually drove this was I noticed a lot of people trying to get into the tech space were just focused on, They just want to get a job. The mindset is just about, I want to get a job. I want to get a job as soon as I'm done with this training. But so when they don't get a job, they feel frustrated, right? They feel frustrated because they've not gotten a job after they got their training. And so one of the things Jane talked about was the entrepreneurial mindset. Thus, you're that person who is looking for problems to solve. You're trying to identify challenges and you want to leverage your skill set to be able to solve those challenges along the way. And now I want to connect that to what Veliswa said around um, identifying mentees or being mentored. Now, one thing I came to understand, like it's easier for a mentor to identify a mentee and work than a mentee try to force their way through to mentorship. And this happened with me firsthand. My mentors today, for example, actually spotted me out there on LinkedIn and reached out to me. They were like, hey, uh, my mentor is a product manager for one of the top companies in the US. He's been following what I'm doing on LinkedIn. I'm putting my work out there. I'm showing up every day. I'm consistent. He sees me, I'm focused. Hey, he sees I'm attending programs, physical sessions, online, I'm documenting my journey. He sees the qualities of someone he would want to invest time and energy in. Just like this one, hey, you reach mentee reaches out to you and you ask them, what do you want to do? What are you expecting out of the leadership? And they don't have any clear picture. But imagine someone whom you're able to check out what they're doing online, they're pushing out there, and you know, it's easier for you to work with such people because you see they have a clear picture of where they're going to. So I think in this session, others too want to see that, hey, one of the ways you can get mentorship into leadership is by attracting mentors, not by hunting. You attract mentorship, right? Not by just reaching out to people, say, because most people now, they want to be like in a classroom, you manage them, rather tell them, go do this, go do that, go do this, go do that. No, but you're reaching out to a mentor to like in leadership to say, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm doing, and you're asking questions. How do I go about it? How do I improve it? How do I make it better? And so on. So now, Veliswa, I want us to maybe go a bit deeper again, because this session is more non-technical than technical. What would you say regarding the technical side of things? Let's say somebody who is coming into the IT space, maybe look at areas of like cloud and DevOps, and they want to apply for roles. Would you advise people coming in, let's say, fresh, to go in senior roles? Because that has leadership too. Maybe not, it may not be a managerial and so on, but would you advise people, let's say, to apply for senior roles? And if not, why?
I don't know, but also I'm from a very different generation. So I'm gonna say no, and maybe other Gen Zs on the call are gonna think, "Hey, I'm ready to be a manager." But I definitely would say no. I think a lot of the soft skill side of it that Jane talks about, that you can't learn in a book. It's learned through experience. It's learned through things in life that humble you, and if you're going to be that servant leader, and that's what you need to be if you really want to be effective and be someone who actually leaves a legacy. Those things you can't within 1 year of being in the industry already be ready to do. So I would say no, because you kind of need life to teach you a few things first. I've seen people who finished and then maybe went to do an MBA and they don't have a lot of year experience. They went to do an MBA and then they think they're ready. And most companies will take them on and maybe make them heads of things. I've seen a big contrast in how they lead versus how people who've actually gone through the journey, how they lead. And I would choose someone who has had life teach them a few things, be my leader or my manager, before I would choose someone who learned about it in a book. So I would say no. And I would say also, you are robbing yourself of that opportunity to build that credibility and that experience before you actually walk into a role like that. I said that I never got to be a manager or a director or something like that in my career, it's not because those opportunities were never available to me. Sometimes they were available and I said no to them because I didn't feel ready for it. I remember I worked for one of the banks here and they wanted to fast track me to director of tech. And they did the things that you learn in a book. Like they said, if you're going to be in that role, you're going to be engaging with execs, and execs play golf. So they sent me for golf lessons. And they said, if you're going to be that, you need like an MBA. And I was always so lazy to do an MBA. I would never submit my applications like, oh, I don't have 3 years to just switch off my life and do that. And a lot of things that they thought you would learn in a book. But I feel like I've learned a lot of stuff in life. And like I say, life humbling you has prepared me for where I am. I've had a lot of failures in my career. It was never been glamorous and easy. And I think those failures have actually prepared me to be where I am today. So I would say no, and those would be my reason.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Melissa, for those insights right there. So, our learners, at this point, you just probably we're moving towards the end of the interview session. Hopefully, you have a lot of questions for our panelists. You have top professionals here from AWS. Probably many people are dreaming to work with AWS, so you have access. That's the beauty about these sessions, right? You have free access to talk with someone who's giving you first-hand information, right? And see, it's through sessions like this. I made a post the other day, like the real deal really happens through networking and through the DMs. From a conversation like this, and how did we get here? For those maybe who are listening to this for the first time, Kevin used to attend SolaviseTech Saturday workshops, and from the Saturday workshops, he was providing value. He was solving problems. He reached out to me DM on a Zoom meeting. I sent him my WhatsApp number. We had a call after the WhatsApp. I immediately, brought him on board as CTO for SolaviseTech without any, just having a conversation with him for an hour. I saw somebody who has vision. I saw somebody who has passion. I saw somebody who knows where he's going to. He told me his life goal. He told me what he has for Africa, and we aligned. So why should I hesitate working with this amazing gentleman? And from that, I was like, hey, we can connect Africa together, right? We can bring tech home. We can help inspire so many people. From there, now Kevin has brought me to Veliswa. Kevin has brought me to Jane. Kevin has brought me to Taiwo, the CEO of Alluvium. And now we have our students and members of our team who are doing remote internship in the UK, from Africa. And all of these opportunities because of a Zoom meeting. So if you're here on this call, you're not just here, just to take screenshots, we're not here to excite you. We are here to connect you to opportunities. That's what SolaviseTech is all about. We're not just here to do a boot camp, say, hey, we've trained this number of people, they got certification, but after that, what next, right? From here, you can get recommendations. You can make a meaningful connection, right? So make use of this opportunity. So right now, as we speak, just drop your questions in the chat as well. Just write down your questions. You can raise your hand right now as we may have maybe say a 2 to 3 minutes break as our panelists maybe take a glass of water or coffee. Just use these seconds to drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat. Before you leave the call, we have 20 of us in the chat. Probably want to have 20 new contacts on your LinkedIn profile. Quality contacts. I tell people on LinkedIn, it's not about numbers. It's about the quality of your network that really matters, right? The quality of your network. So let's just take these few seconds, and while I catch my breath, Kevin, you're going to take on the next phase of the presentation, question and answer session as we move towards the end of this session, everybody. Thank you very much. And yeah, over to you, Kevin.
Thank you so much. Actually, I was just writing notes and I was really relating to all of what our panelists were saying, especially in terms of the challenges and things around the questions that Velisa was asking, thought-provoking question, especially about getting to know who are the thought leaders in your space, and also why are you leading, right? So what I will do will make it very, very interesting here is, please, if you have any question that you'd feel like maybe it go better in the chat, be fine. But also if you have a question that you'd like to ask live, feel free to raise your hand and it'll give you an opportunity to ask your question. And you can also maybe start by introducing yourself, saying who your question is directed to, and then we'll be able to get your question and forward it to the relevant panelists. So yes, let's start with Eric. Over to you, Eric.
Okay, please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. When the session started, I felt like they were just Veliswa and Jen, they were just, talking to me directly, right? I wasn't seeing anybody on the call. I felt like, it's between me and them. Right? Yes. It's really been insightful. And I've learned a lot. These are things that you hear people say, but until you come one-on-one with experts like Veliswa and Jen, that's when it hits you differently. Yeah. So my question is to Veliswa. But before that, I would also like to say I'm very excited, to meet her live. I always see her post and I'm like, hey, when will I meet her? These kind of people, I just wish I had just 1 minute with them live. Yes, now lo and behold. Because I've been following her, especially when she was in Cameroon for the AWS Community Day. I saw the big pictures with Dr. Samba and the entire SolaviseTech team. And then me, I was just in the back and just like, wow. And lo and behold, I'm here with her one-on-one. So it's really amazing and exciting. So, Veliswa, my question is to you. You talked about the difficulty of getting someone who can, probably, take over from you, or who can also be like you as an AWS, let's say, heroine, right? Heroine as a woman, as a lady, not as a woman hero, no, as a heroine. So I don't know, what does it take to become that AWS hero? Since you are finding difficulty and you are not seeing anybody who can fill that gap, what does it take to reach that level where you are now? That's my question. Thank you.
I hope I didn't give the impression that I'm looking for someone who's gonna be like me, because that's not what I'm looking for at all.
No. Yes, I didn't say you're looking, but it's like you are not seeing people. You're not seeing someone who could maybe yes, you're not seeing any potential person who can. I didn't say you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. Some of my responses are going to be very controversial, and so I've been looking for women who are creating technical content. I identified a few that I thought, you must build AWS technical content, and it can't be superficial. It has to be deep technical, almost talking at an expert level. You must come across as the expert of the thing that you are talking about. And I'm not seeing women do this. And so I identified a few women this year. I thought maybe if I mentor them, I'll work with them, we'll get to that point where they are building this, creating this content, and they're putting it out there. And what I'm finding when I talk to some of them, it's different reasons that come out. With some of the reasons, they don't even really say them. I figure them out through conversations with them. It is things like, sure, there is a huge part of not feeling like you're good enough, but I always talk about the fact that you don't have to be an expert before you start. And people think you must be. You don't have to be. This is a space where we're all learning every day. So there's nothing wrong with saying you're not an expert or not coming across as an expert. So there is that. There is the lack of confidence. You don't think you're good enough to start. But to be quite honest, I think there is a lack of interest. And that's okay. And what is horrible here is that the world tells women that, oh, everyone must be a woman in tech, right? We have different interests in life as people, and we don't all have to be. What I'm finding that in the tech space, women enjoy building communities, and that's okay. You tell this to the people in the West, they are flabbergasted that you say women only want to build communities and they don't want to do the tech and go deep in the tech. That's okay because that's how we are wired. But no one wants to hear that today because we want women to be at a certain level. All women must love to code. All women must love to talk about Docker and all of these things. What if we don't? I said earlier on that I always change roles. And I actually realized that part of that was I got bored. And it's okay to get bored. Maybe these women are also bored with tech. They tried out, and after a while, they're like, eh. Unlike a guy, maybe, because a guy maybe wants to sit there for a while and go into this thing. And that should be okay. But we are forcing that people are wired the same. And because we are forcing this theory that we all wire the same, we want people to give you the exact same outputs. So I've said to my team here internally at AWS that maybe the hero program is not designed for the women in Africa. And that should be fine. And that's a controversial thing to say. People don't want to hear me say this. Maybe it's not. And maybe that's okay. Maybe there should be another program that recognizes people who just want to build communities and they don't want to write technical documents. And that should be fine. So I'm not, to answer your question, I'm not seeing a lot of women producing technical content. And I'm getting to the point where maybe that's just how it is. And that's fine. What I'm seeing, people lose interest in, or they change interest and move on to other things. They start out and they come in very superficial, but the minute they're supposed to go deep, they're not really interested anymore. And there's no way that is because they're not smart enough. They are smart enough. Maybe this just is not an interest for them, and that's okay. But it will take 200 years before I can convince my employers of such a thing, because they're in the West, boys are girls and girls are boys, and that's how they look at life. So that's my take. Very controversial, but that's what I've been seeing. And I've been working very closely with a lot of women, so I can actually say this based on what I've been seeing.
I love that. I love that. That can be, I can say, can be the first line on my LinkedIn post for this. but not to quote you, but yes, you've said something that most people are afraid to say. That is, they just run programs and says, why are we not getting more and more women in cybersecurity, in whether cloud engineering, whatever these kind of things, and
maybe they don't
so
want
to speak. Yes, exactly. And maybe there's a place of more value. And doesn't mean that even if you're building communities, you cannot be into leadership. Right now, I think we can already christen Jane to be a woman in tech because she's already been in this quite a lot, and she's already now starting to understand. Let me pin her here. She's already starting to understand these terminologies, and she's already into it. She doesn't feel like an outcast in this. What does that tell you? It tells you that there's a lot we can gain and we can complement each other, and it doesn't have to be all on the terminal, if I can say in quotes. So just, I can see another question here coming through from Okemwa Birundu. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Let me just think he or she, let me just be safe, is asking, what qualities or experiences are looked for in potential mentees that indicate they're ready for advanced leadership roles in cloud computing? So I'll allow Jane to start, and then Feliso, you can add on the aspect around cloud computing, but maybe Jane, you can bring out about leadership in general.
All right. Thank you, Okemwa. I think that's a good question. So what would be somebody looking for to get you into a leadership position? Assuming in an organization, I would be looking for your mastery of what you do. What's your skill? People are hiring people for skill. I would not want to promote you if I'm not very keen about your skill mastery of that area. For example, what you're saying, cloud computing. So you must show up for your craft first and foremost, because that's what gets the conversation, can this one get into leadership? Then I think we've talked about this, is your personal confidence. And how do you start telling the story even to non-techie people and so that they're able to appreciate the value? And one of the ways you do it, for example, you'll find there are a lot of project work in organizations. So how do you show up in projects where you bring your A game, but you're working with different people? Because people start appreciating your other interpersonal skills. This guy is a team player. I mean, this person is a leader. Your personal effectiveness. Small things like just keeping time. Can people trust you? Trust is a currency in an organization. So are you the person who can't keep timelines on reports? You don't say where you are. Small hygienic factors also contribute to how people start seeing you as a potential. In fact, in HR, we call them potential. We start seeing them from all over because you show up. Even by mere how you just present yourself. You're techie, but look the part. Look the part just in whatever the part looks like. I mean, can I do work with you? That is very important. But I also like the vulnerability of what Veliswa has said in terms of, can you do the work? Sometimes in HR, we say you can be an expert up to the highest level. So if you feel you can't lead, it's okay. You can still grow in your career and go to whatever level without leading other teams. And that's why we have categories where we have expert roles. And that doesn't mean you'll be less on any paper. You'll still be considered for that, but you're very clear you don't want to be a leader. So it's also good to be vulnerable to that. So it doesn't mean you have to be a leader for teams. But if you're looking for that, those are some of the things that you need to start growing about yourself. I'd like to say something Doc said about how do you show up even on LinkedIn? And last time I said, there's a time we were starting a data science department in an insurance company I was working for. It was new. And so we were looking for very good talent. And I remember there's a lady I had met on a career fair, and she kept, she followed me. And then I started seeing she was a fourth year, but she's writing a lot of content on her LinkedIn page. And so I looked out for her and said, we are starting this. Is it something you're keen about? So she got on an internship and then was confirmed after graduation. So the small things the research you're doing, your curiosity is what starts separating you from the pack, because it's competitive. There are very many people who want the same positions you're looking for. What are these other things you're doing about yourself? That's how I'd advise you to start working on yourself from that point of view.
Awesome. I love that. Velis, over to you.
The question says, mentorship around cloud computing, potential mentees. Oh, so what would I look for? Say I'm looking to mentor someone for cloud computing, and I'm going to say I would not mentor someone for cloud computing. So for a technical skill like that, today, I would not do a one-on-one mentorship with someone for that. And this is another mindset I'm trying to change with us here. We're very used to people working one-on-one with us on things because we like the classroom setting, and that's what we're used to. And we tend to look for this with help in learning these new techs that we are finding today that we have to learn. So in terms of cloud computing, I would not mentor someone for that. For cloud computing, I would tell you to find the information on the internet because it's there. And I will also tell you to find communities that talk tech because that's where you will learn. I would not tell you to find a mentor to help you be a cloud engineer because that person would never take you seriously. The information is out there. And that's another thing, a mindset that we're really trying to change for ourselves here. We can't have people. I remember being invited to a meetup a long time ago. And they asked me to talk about how to get certified for the cloud. What's that first one? And then I talked about that certification, and I talked about I shared a few resources on how to study for that certification. And then someone on the call said, thank you for this. When we are ready to do the next certification, the solution architect, are you going to come back and tell us again and tell us where to find it? And I said, I'm not going to come back for that. You can go and find that yourself because the information is out there. That is a new message for us. And I sound the passion behind when I talk about this. It can even sound like I'm frustrated. It's because I can see the potential that we have, and we're not using it or getting to use it because we just still are waiting for people to come and rescue us. If we could just move past that, we would be so amazing out there. There is enough information out there that we can go and find it ourselves. So no, in my long way of answering, I would not even look for a mentee for cloud computing, because that you can do on your own. So when you go out and get that information on your own and you learn it and you teach the next person, then you're that person that I would want to work with, because I can see now you are showing signs of being a leader, and that's the person I would work with. I think Jane also touched on that you already are showing what you can do. People who are looking for mentors, who are looking for mentees, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for someone who is, there's someone else that I'm mentoring, and I always say to her, every time you post on LinkedIn, it's about yourself. But when you do all these other things that you do, some of them you do with other people. How come you never recognize someone else in your post? How come you never post and say, we had a meetup and we organized with A, B, and C, and I thank you so much, A, B, and C, for organizing this meetup with me. And I said, a leader is someone who sometimes gives the spotlight to other people. It's not always about you. So when people who are mentors are looking for mentees, those are the qualities that they look for. And you asked the question on the call, in the chat. Please, I'm not screaming at you. What's coming out is I want to see so many of us here do so much. And it's not going to happen if we wait for people to come and rescue us. Find the things, do them, tag me when you start to put that content out there. Then we'll talk.
Amazing. Amazing. Sorry. Thanks so much for that. Since you still have the mic, I'd like you to just check that question by Damilola Adeyemi on the chat. I think it will make sense, a lot of sense, if you just read it directly rather than me reading it out for you, and maybe share your thoughts because you still have the mic, Beliso.
Is this the
as a woman in tech?
Which one is the next question?
As a woman in tech, what was your motivation?
What was your motivation when I was doing, what can you say to someone who has phobia of programming languages? As a woman in tech, what was your motivation when you were doing the training? All of you are really gonna regret inviting me here, because I've never looked at myself as a woman in tech. I'm a person in tech. There's no tech that you do because you're a woman and tech that you do because you're someone else. You're a person in tech. Please lose that label. And I think it's one of the things that are holding us back again, because of all these labels around identities that we are adopting, identities that we didn't even invent. I'm going to go again back to my team, because I belong to a team that is global. And everywhere else around the world, they've started to form these meetups for women only in tech. And they were driving that we do women only meetups here. And I said, I won't start women only meetups. And they asked me why. And I said, because we don't hate women here. Women can come to spaces with everyone else and they can talk about tech. And they didn't believe me until one of them came to Cameroon with me and they saw women in that meetup challenging the guys, asking questions, contributing. And I said, women here do that. So we don't need a women-only space. So please, any identity that you can think of that was invented in the US, lose it. And because it's just not going to help you go anywhere. So I've never looked at myself as a woman in tech. I've always been a person in tech. And I think I was just one of those blessed people, because I started out in tech way before all of this happened. I started out in tech where you just worked. And it was not about people looking at anything else. And I had people mentor me who were so tough with me They didn't tiptoe around me because, she's a Black girl. They didn't. They were tough. And I'm so grateful that I actually grew up during that time. And so to answer your question, I'm going to say, as a person in tech, what motivated me when I was doing training? So as a person in tech, I just wanted to advance in my career. So I just did the technologies that help me advance because I'm in a tech space. What would I say to someone who has phobia of programming languages? What does it mean by phobia? I'm going to need you to unmute yourself and elaborate what you mean by phobia of programming languages.
Yes, Damilola, if you can unmute.
Before I can answer that.
Yes.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, I'll correct myself as a person in tech. All right, ma'am. Actually, I have fear. I mean, that phobia is fear of programming languages. Like before now, I've been training, like try to learn some programming skills, but maybe because of my fear, I could not learn it. I tried with too many programming languages. I could not learn anything. So that's why I'm asking the question. Is it fear or something like that? What can you say to somebody that has fear of learning programming languages? Is it because people are saying that it is tough, or because of the line of code and the numbers, or something like that? That's what I mean.
Maybe you just don't feel confident enough. Maybe it just means you don't feel confident enough. You think you can't do it, and you actually can. And do you know how you become better at something that you don't feel good at? You become better by doing it over and over again. So if you have a fear of programming languages, I'd say carry on writing that code. And with that, you start to build the confidence. And I think it's just you think you cannot do it, and actually you can. You just need to just dive in there. And that's why I talk a lot about hands-on, building hands-on. Building hands-on helps build your confidence because you've written the code and it worked here, it has produced something, and that helps you build that confidence. So I would say build more, write more code, find boot camps that you can participate in, find tutorials that you can do, find workshops that you can do, and those will help you build. And as you build, it will build your confidence as well. I've gone through a lot of that in my career. I still have it. I still have moments of feeling like I'm not good enough. I go through it. But you get over those by doing the thing that you're scared of over and over again. So you're facing it every time, you're confronting it, and it just helps you. So I'd say do more of it. It's just the lack of confidence because you're not doing enough, probably. Just try and do more, and probably it will get better. Yes, do it scared.
Yeah, you just mentioned something, and I love the fact how you put it out, Veliso. Actually, every time I train any program, and then I'm going to maybe go towards Linux, I have to start doing pep talks, especially when I know I have a class and they're also having also, just to say, the ladies in the rooms, because I have to do a lot of pep talk because they're seeing the men ace it as if it's nothing. Then they're like, what should I do? Does it really mean, does it rub off on me that this is not for me? So it's kind of something about programming languages and Linux and all these kind of different things. But as you've mentioned, I love the fact that you've mentioned it's the labels that we put on ourselves, that this is not my thing. This is what, it's only for those people. And the reason why I say this is because for so long, I thought that you have to be an expert, you have to be an SME to create technical content. It's only until when I joined your technical content writing workshops that I got the confidence to open a Medium account and start doing articles. And I actually remember the very first time I tried to create content after doing a workshop, I didn't have the confidence of sharing it that with you because you said, I remember you created a small LinkedIn group, and you said, if you're done with your technical content, share it with me so that I can review for you, then you can take it the next level. I didn't do it. So when I got a second chance at it during the 12-week AWS workshops, I said, I'm not going to mess this up again. I'm going to do it scared, right? So sometimes, and from there on, I think things have totally changed. I don't have a fear of creating technical content, whether it's videos, whether it's a blog article and something of that sort. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for always coming through and making us realize that it's not really that hard to do this. Okay, so we are about to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes, just at the bottom of the hour, the half past the hour, wherever you're checking this from. So I can see people are sharing their LinkedIn. Please do also continue sharing. Do join also. We have a LinkedIn community group. We also have a WhatsApp community as SolaviseTech. We do these every 2 weeks. So 1 week is for the workshops, which is next week, which is a technical workshop. Then the other week we do these fireside chat podcast sessions. So I think we had missed only, there's one question by Birundo, and I think I'll give these to Jane so that as we wrap it up, and still then also as you do that, as you answer that question, you can also give us your takeaway, and then Velisa will give us her takeaway. Then we can wrap it up so that I don't just have to come back and tell you, can you give us your takeaway? So I don't know if you see the question, or I can read it for you, Jane.
You could read it.
Yes, so it's okay, still she was asking, okay, he or she was asking, it's not about ladies, so I thought it was she. But should tech leaders prioritize promoting diversity and inclusion over driving aggressive innovation, or can these goals be effectively balanced?
I'll just say this: it's important to have a balance. You'll have the innovation, but you also need to drive the inclusion. So from where I sit, and maybe Vanessa, you could comment as you're winding up on that. I'll say it's very important to have a balance. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And please do give us your takeaway.
Okay, for anybody looking to be a leader in the tech space or in other areas, somebody said they're learning so much across many breadth of professionals. You cannot lead others if you've not led yourself. So have a mastery about you, mastery about your skill, mastery about your strength, then you're able to lead others. So you can never take people where you've not been. So that will be my takeout for you. Grow yourself, grow your skill, know who you are, and people will buy you when you show up as a leader. Thank you.
So just to add on the question around, I would agree with Jane, having that balance. And a lot of people, when they talk about diversity, they only look at diversity from an aesthetic point of view. And there's starting to be that conversation as well to define what really is diversity. When you have all these different identities, they all think the same. Is that diversity? Or are you talking about diversity of thought? And these tech companies, they've made that, I'll call it a mistake, where they chase diversity around aesthetics, but people, they all think the same, and they actually don't entertain diversity of thought. So what are you talking about when you say diversity? So what would be my takeaway? My takeaway is we have to do the things. We really have to, and we have to stop looking at all these things that they're not excuses, but they block us. Things like, when I talk about how I got certified, my very first AWS certification, when I tell people that I had 3 children and I would wait for my children to go to bed and I would only start studying at 11, 12 p.m. at night after my children are in bed, lots of people don't like to hear me when I talk like that, because then it takes away the excuses. So we have to do the things, and I'm waiting for you, Africa, to do stuff. And it may sound like I'm frustrated when I talk to you, because I know you can. You just have to lose all these things that hold us back. And I talked about identities before. We did not invent these identities. Let's not wear them. Let's just go out and do the things. And I'm waiting to see more of us take leadership. Lead conversation, technical conversations, because we're in a tech space. Lead those technical conversations. And if you think that someone in Europe or the US is smarter than you, think again. I work for a global company. Think again. I've seen people think again. They're not. So I'm going to stop there.
Wow, what a way to end it. I don't think there's anything I can just add. It's like a mic drop. It's just like a mic drop. And yeah, so thank you so much. I'd like you to share some emojis, some fire, whatever you're feeling, whatever your takeaway is. Please do share in the chat so that our panelists can be able to see what you're taking away from these Fireside Chat podcasts. We really love to see your engagement. And just to mention, and as I bring in Dr. Samba to give any updates from the SolaviseTech side, I'd like to thank our panelists for making time for this. Considering it's a Saturday, there's so many different things that we can do, and we also have engagements, whether it's at a personal or work, and we don't take this for granted. Usually say it's just like a pebble in the river. You just throw one pebble, but the ripple effect goes far and wide. So I know there's others who are going to be watching these later on YouTube. And if there's anything that resonates with you, feel free to share with us also in the comments. And just in case there's any question or burning thing, please feel free to connect with our panelists. They're all on LinkedIn. And if there's anything else that maybe they want to add, anything, any initiative, anything, Velisa, coming out from your throwers or something that you're looking up to doing? Is there anything in the works? I know you have a ticket to Kenya.
Type in the chat. I just typed in the
I know you have a plane ticket to Kenya very soon.
Yes,
right?
I've just put in the chat that I'll be in Kenya in October.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm hoping to meet Jane when I get there. I've been so inspired by Jane's insights. I'll be in Kenya in October. I hope to meet you, but I'll definitely, as soon as I have my visa, I'll let you know and I'll come and find you. Thank you very much for sharing. I learned so much from you. And also, I'd say from everyone who attended and all your questions. And thank you for the questions that drove the conversation, and we could learn and really talk. And just thank you for being here and spending the time with us. And thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. It's always an honor to have you. Jane, you have a date in October. You better block your calendar.
For sure. It was super exciting to meet Vediswa. I had seen you earlier on LinkedIn. It's very exciting to listen to you. I love the issue about labels. Those labels we've kept putting on ourselves and we don't go anywhere. And the call for Africa. Irrespective of where my profession is, I've taken that as a personal challenge. Like, we have to come up as Africa, and looking forward to have many of these conversations. To Kevin, thank you so much. To Dr. Samba, thank you so much for connecting. This has been very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Samba, do wrap this show for us. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I really want to appreciate everyone once again. Please, if you did get value, if you enjoyed the time spent, can you just drop a thank you message in the chat, and just to let us know our upcoming programs. We are starting off an amazing bootcamp on Monday for AWS and DevOps, and on Tuesday we're going to be starting off with the data science and machine learning cohort. So our AWS and DevOps bootcamp runs Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. West African time. And the data science and machine learning program runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 p.m. West African time to 9 p.m. West African time, for 8 months. The data science program is for 8 months, while the cloud computing program is for 4 months deep dive and 3 months of remote work internship for those who actually deserve. So our role, like we said, we are connecting talents to opportunities, right? So those who really deserve the remote work internship, we get to recommend them, as well as we have a lot of works in the back end right now, where we're going to be having our talents in job placement posts, right? We can easily recommend them to top tech companies out there. And I love the statement by Veli, so I'm going to write, I just wrote that down. If you think people out of Africa are smarter than you, then you have to think again. That really caught me there. So the flyer you see right here as scholarship opportunities SolaviseTech is actually offering for those in Africa. We're offering scholarship opportunities. It's a hard one to get. We do a lot of screening. So if you have people in mind, if you're on this call, you've not yet enrolled for our programs, you're thinking of enrolling, you see, you can go ahead. Normally we're supposed to end the application tomorrow, but if you're here on this call, you made the efforts and you're not yet enrolled for the program, you can reach out to me immediately on WhatsApp, and we can have a conversation to get you on board. We're ending tomorrow. And besides that, next week we're going to have a podcast again, not a technical session. It's going to be more of a podcast. So look out onto our channels, and please make sure when you post on LinkedIn appreciation, make sure you tag Veliswa, tag Jane. Appreciate these people, appreciate the SolaviseTech team. That's how you start growing. You start growing your network as well, right? You have no idea what a single like from Veliswa on your post would mean, right? It means that she's exposed. Well, that's how LinkedIn does it. The LinkedIn algorithm is going to expose her network to you. But like, why would Veliswa like this person? And Veliswa is a very amazing influential person. So you start gaining from her network. It's leverage. So make sure, don't be shy. A lot of people after this, oh, they're excited about it, but they don't take the action. So after this call, in order for us to make it happen, just turn on your camera right now. Let's all take a family picture to immortalize this. Everybody, please just be on camera. Don't be shy. Like we said, you never know. You never know what a single post can do. So take advantage of this opportunity to get yourself out there. And like we said, document your journey. Document your journey. All right. In the future, it's not about what you have on your resume. It's about proof of work. What have you done? Can you show people the path you've taken, right? So let me see the view. Can we have everybody on the view? Yes. So please get on camera and make sure you wear your best smile. All right. Wear your best smile. You don't want to appear frowning on LinkedIn. All right. Wear your best smile. And probably want to have Eric. Is Eric here? Eric, maybe or Asaf, you can do the screenshot. Cyril, Clarinda, if you're in a position where you can be on camera, that would be amazing. All right. Good to have everyone. Birundo. So let's grab a screenshot right there. At the count of 3, we're gonna get it. All right. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. I got it. Great. All right, everybody. It was an amazing session. Thank you all for joining, and see you over the top. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.